well-being as a planning, what do we call it? Planning as a design principle? Well-being as a planning principle. My name is Elka and I am a recovering urban planner. Okay, great. I said one thing. That's gonna be My name is Elka and I am a recovering urban planner. And the reason why I say that is because urban planning as a field tends to lean in a very technical direction. But urban planning is really about people, our relationships with each other, and our relationships with nature, of which we are a part. Planning tends to remove humans from nature and from each other, rather than integrating us with our communities and with nature. And when I was introduced to full frame for the first time, I understood that there was a way for me to reframe my urban planning practice and orient it towards integration. Well-Built was a consortium of planners, many of whom were on that line between social work and planning or academia and planning. And we kind of spanned out a little bit beyond planning proper to explore the different ways that planning intersects with other fields, and also how those other fields can be formally incorporated into planning as a field. Some people call this breaking down the silos. We called it looking at planning through a well-being lens. One of the things we talked about there was how could we train planners to view humans as humans and to view our environment, our built environment, as essentially a place where we meet our needs as human beings, as communities. Soon after we did the Well-Built Consortium, I was hired by Hudson Valley Pattern for Progress. And at Pattern, I was fortunate enough to be able to collaborate with Full Frame. We joined the Wyatt program as a pilot project in Midtown Kingston, where we incorporated well-being into our community engagement process. We hired a team of credible messengers. Our survey was designed with well-being as a core principle, and it essentially revamped how we thought about community engagement. Oftentimes as planners, we ask, what do you want to see here? What do you need? But it is so seldom that we ask people, what's working for you and what should we protect? And in Midtown Kingston, the question of what should we protect and what are you afraid of losing was so critical, because in recent years, the community had undergone such massive gentrification and displacement. I think the biggest light bulb that I've seen is when people see the term mattering or mastery. We are wired to feel like we matter and we have impact. So of course, when we're feeling depressed or disconnected and we feel like our actions don't matter, it makes sense when you view it through this well-being lens that's very rooted in science. Not only does it kind of validate where we're all coming from, but it gives you a way to understand what's missing in your life. And I've seen that concept of mattering really get people, fired up. I even looked at the poll results from the last election, seeing why people voted the way they did, and said people are being motivated by different domains of well-being. And I think that that's a way to bridge a lot of the divides that our society is facing right now, just by understanding what each other's motivations are. And the last thing I'll say is, when I engage in housing policy work, which is the main focus of my position currently, I think when people use the term NIMBYism, which means not in my backyard, we use the term as this negative, almost judgment of people who feel that way. And I think by reframing it as stability, people are looking for stability. They want to be able to anticipate what's coming in and what's not. And they're pretty much just afraid of change. With NIMBYism and with other issues, when people say no to something, what they really mean is it depends. That is something that I learned from Full Frame and from the well-being framework. And if you can get to the it depends, then you can get to consensus and compromise in a way more effective way. And the reason why people don't share their it depends from the beginning is because they don't always trust the process. They're not going to say it depends if they don't trust that you're going to listen to their trade-offs. But if you can communicate trust and you can say your it depends matters to me, you can get out of that place of no and into a place of yes. How's that? Good? Cool.